Welcome, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to everyone who's watching this Q&A about the Masters in Reparatory Justice. This is a double degree program designed and offered in partnership with the University of the West Indies and the University of Glasgow as well. And first, I would like to thank you, everyone, and our colleagues from the University of the West Indies, and also our students who are joining us today for this Q&A. And to get us started, I would like to ask everyone who is here today to introduce themselves. So could we start with you, Tara, and then we can pass the mic to our students, and I will introduce myself last. Oh, sorry, Ramona.
Okay, thank you,
Yes.
Messias. Good morning from the Mona campus. I'm Ramona Biholar, a senior lecturer in the Faculty of Law at the University of the West Indies on the Mona campus, and also part of the convenors team for the double Reparatory Justice Master program. I'm very happy to be here and welcome everybody.
Thank you. Carla?
I am Carla Astefan. Hello, everyone. I hail from the beautiful islands of Dominica, St. Kitts and Nevis, where I live. And I'm the chair of the St. Kitts and Nevis National Reparations Committee. I chose to come to Glasgow to participate in this master's program, the Reparatory Justice Master's Program. As Dr. Basques says, a double master's, and it has been a wonderful experience thus far.
Thank you. Katie?
Hi everyone, I'm Katie. I'm a Scottish student and I came to this master's degree straight from an undergraduate degree here at Glasgow as well. So been here for a while.
Thank you. Natasha?
Good morning, everyone. My name is Natasha Ferguson. I'm a part-time reparatory justice student and I am based at the UE Mona campus.
Thank you very much. So my name is Messias Basques. I am from Brazil. I am an anthropologist by training. I just arrived and just joined the University of Glasgow, actually. I started in December last year. And as a lecturer for the Beniba Centre for Slavery Studies, most of my work and teaching projects, research projects as well, are focused on the Black experience in the diaspora, but also including perspective experiences from Africa. And I would like to talk a bit about the program, and then we can try to share our experiences, both from our perspectives as part of the teaching staff, but also focusing on the experiences of our students. So since 2020, both institutions, University of the West Indies, University of Glasgow, have been collaborating in several ways. And in 2023, we welcomed the first cohort of students to the Reparatory Justice program. So this is a collaborative program that came out of the research on the university's links to slavery, enslavement in the Caribbean and other places like South America as well. So the program, the double degree master's program on reparatory justice, is itself a reparatory justice project. And I would like to talk just briefly about the Beniba Centre for Slavery Studies, because I think it is important to acknowledge the Beniba Centre as well as part of the broad commitment and acknowledgement of the university with its ties to slavery and enslavement. So the Beniba Centre is named after Beniba. Beniba was a Black enslaved woman, mother, field worker, owned by 18th century former rector of the University of Glasgow. And when we say and when we remember the name of Beniba, we speak her back into existence. So I think it is important to say her name and to also highlight the importance of the Beniba Centre for Slavery Studies as one of the outcomes of this acknowledgement and endeavors to deal with our memories and past experiences with enslavement and slavery. So this is a double degree program, as I just mentioned, and that means that if you enroll and you finish the course, the program, you will get a degree and a certificate from both institutions. So both the University of the West Indies and the University of Glasgow. And you can decide and choose one of the campuses to be based at. So you can be based in Jamaica, Barbados, or Glasgow. And at some point in the future, we would like to offer to our students a kind of a mobility scheme for them to navigate different campuses as well. But this is not exactly possible at this moment. However, we do have a very vivid and vibrant community, teaching community. And one of the ways that we are trying to promote connections between our students and the teaching staff from different places and institutions is through hybrid teaching. So I would like now to invite our colleagues from the UE, Professor Ramona, to talk about her experience in teaching in this program, but also in terms of the kind of topics that she's teaching and the kind of research that she's embedding in her teaching project for this program.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Basques. Very happy to be here. And I want to also acknowledge, even if she's not able to be here at this point, Dr. Tara Inniss, who is the co-convenor in this program. She's based at the History Department in at the University of the West Indies on the Gilmorehill Campus. And she's also part of the core courses teachers in this program. From where I am in the Faculty of Law, I do also teach in the program a core course entitled Slavery, Conflict, and Human Rights. Is a interdisciplinary course which intends to introduce students not only to the legal framework that supported the transatlantic slave trade and the institution of slavery historically, but more so to understand the current frameworks that are prohibiting slavery and trafficking in persons today, and also to discuss the possibilities and the limitations that the international human rights framework and the international law generally offers and poses to arguments for reparations today. So it is an exploratory course as well that invites other scholars to expose students to their fields of research, study, and expertise. Most of the students are not legally trained, and I don't want students to be scared by this course. It is not focused on the law itself. It just shows what are the legal arguments that are so necessary for reparatory justice advocacy, but more so the human rights arguments that are so important. And I also try as much as possible to introduce students to my own research that is linking reparatory justice to the human rights framework, international human rights framework, and more so to an area called TWAIL, or Third World Approaches to International Law, which offers a critique to the international framework that we have today and can also help for our arguments for reparatory justice from where I stand. So this is one course out of the multiple courses that students are able to follow, to pursue. So we are offering core courses from each campuses, and you mentioned that. And the courses are not all focused on law. So this is the one that takes a human rights approach, but other courses will focus on the history of slavery and the transatlantic slave trade. We have a very interesting optional course offered from the Mona campus on the psychohistory of slavery, and that is offered by Professor Sonia Naya, who is the director of the Center for Reparations Research that is based here at the University of the West Indies and more so on the Mona campus. I hope I answered your question, Dr. Basques, and I'm happy to answer more questions as they come.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you very much for your answer. So just to highlight something that Professor Ramona just mentioned, so there are 4 core courses, and they are slavery, conflict, and human rights. The next one is reparations now. And in the second semester, we have pedagogy of reparatory justice and qualitative approaches to the study of political violence. So I am teaching 2 courses in the Master's in Reparatory Justice. And thank you, Professor Ramona, for introducing Tara and the kind of work and content that she's teaching at the University of the West Indies. So just to summarize, I am teaching 2 courses next year, starting next year, qualitative approaches to the study of political violence. So this course is aimed at introducing students to the benefits, limitations, and challenges of using methods that are usually described as qualitative methods in social sciences and humanities. So like ethnography, archival methods, and oral history to address and explore the broad topic of political violence and encapsulating violence experiences with violence and violations ranging from subtle everyday structural inequalities to more overt conflicts such as war and wars in plural as well. And the second course is titled Reparations Now. So this course examines key historical events, theories around reparations and reparative justice. This course starts with a framework and a background based in the UK and the history of the Scottish involvement with this topic, but it is not limited to the Scottish perspective or background or the UK. So it is a starting point, but we are also interested in exposing students and allowing students to be in contact with the broad discussions around reparations in a global perspective as well. So if you are watching this Q&A, you may be curious about the course structure and what it means to be a master student in reparatory justice. So I would like to invite our students to share their experiences with hybrid teaching, the challenges and the benefits, and how they have been collaborating and engaging with classmates and professors from different places and institutions. So let's start with Natasha.
Okay, my experience so far as a part-time reparatory justice student has been, I would say, definitely purposeful. So as you can tell, even though I am based at the UE Mona campus, I am from the UK of Jamaican descent, 3rd generation. And it was my professional experience and expertise in diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging that supported the continuation of how to continue to advocate for equity and restorative justice, that when finding this course and then inquiring about this course, definitely created that connection and synergy of how to continue the work that I do, but on a bigger scale. So for me, this course so far has been definitely a great experience to date. I would say in terms of the course content, it has been very rich. I am somebody that is very action orientated and very focused on how do we operationalize the history and the trauma of what we've learned, and the balance of the core courses and the optional courses that I've been able to take through the support of Dr. Biholar has been, and the rest of the team has been phenomenal, because it's allowed me to diversify what we're currently learning with current trends and topics that are taking place in the world to support how I'd like to put my thesis together. So in terms of the next question was in regards to my experience so far with the course directors and lecturers. I have taken a number of courses which have required me to work alongside course lecturers from across the Cave Hill campus, UWE Mona campus, and the Glasgow campus. And it has been, despite the differences in time, which is always going to be something, culturally, academically, the end goal of every lecturer wanting to ensure that you are able to achieve your objectives, despite everybody having different outlooks on how they want to apply their masters, has definitely been something I've been able to appreciate. So I think in terms of next steps and how the continuation of the program will continue to pan out for myself, yeah, I'm looking forward to just taking everything that I've learned with the support of the lecturers and kind of ensuring that my thesis and everything that I've learned is included for the transformation and change that I believe we will be able to implement for Jamaica. So I hope I answered your question.
Absolutely beautiful response. Thank you very much, Natasha, for sharing. Yes. So let's hear now, Katie, please.
I don't know how I can go after Natasha's point there, but as a, I think she said absolutely everything, but as a student who learned during the pandemic and experienced online learning through that, initially I was a little bit worried about how this would work, doing the Zoom classes, not being in the physical classroom with everybody on all campuses at once. But we have like a little Zoom owl camera that we have one in the classroom at Glasgow, and then that allows us to see and hear everyone. And it's just been really great for collaboration through that. And it has felt like we are really all in one classroom. It's been great for sharing ideas, and it doesn't feel as though we are as far away as we actually are across the Atlantic. But no, it's been fantastic. And I think having the 2 core courses and 1 optional course per semester for the full-time students, it's definitely been intense for workload wise, but it's been absolutely fantastic. And taking ideas from courses in the first semester, as in ideas from Dr. Biholar's class in law, and being able to apply that law and ethical framework to our classes in the second semester, I feel like that's been really great. And I feel like we've been learning so much as we've been going, so it's been a really fantastic experience. And I think we're in the middle of writing our dissertations now and bringing all our learning in together, and it's been fantastic. But no, really enjoying it so far.
Thank you, Katie. Great response as well. I would like to hear from you now, Carla, about your experiences as a master's student.
Well, coming to school as a mature student, coming from the Caribbean and choosing Glasgow, the change in the environment, learning this new space, navigating the space was quite interesting, quite challenging. I wish that I had done certain things earlier, like discovering the library, how to navigate the space. I remember being late for my first optional class because I got lost. But it was great, communicating, as Katie said, through the owl, getting to know Natasha. Natasha and I would speak off, I could call her. I found all the students really welcoming. And even other students where I was in classes, like the optional class that I did was exploring global studies. I think that's the name of it, if I remember correctly. And that community was quite good. I remember we went out for drinks after the last class. And it was just, a very wonderful experience, meeting new people. I just wish I wasn't so scared at first. I think I was very nervous at first. And I would have loved to just do this all over again with a different attitude, you know, bringing a different attitude, especially to my work. I think not having been in school for a while, that's where the nervousness came from. But I found that, you know, teachers, the lecturers are really willing to help you and, you know, reach out. Dr. Biholar, you know, had a Zoom with me after my first course and after my course with her, and really, you know, we spent quite a while on the phone as she tried to really, on Zoom, as she tried to get me to understand how to go about things. So everyone has been really good. And my course with you to Dr. Basques was, and Dr. Nee, forgot her name. Anyway, really good.
Leonaise, yes. Thank you so much, Carla, for sharing your feedback. And I definitely will reach out to our friends here at Glasgow to make sure that the new cohort of students will be able to navigate the spaces and the practicalities of the daily life as a student here at Glasgow in a more smooth way. So thank you for sharing. That's important to acknowledge as well. And just to mention something that, and to stress actually something that Natasha has just mentioned, we have two options here in our master's program. So if you prefer, or if you need as well, to enroll in this course as a part-time student, you can, and you will be supported. So your program will last 2 years. But if you are able to enroll on a full-time basis, the program lasts for 1 year. But in both cases, you will be supported, and you will receive all the guidance and supervision that you need to succeed as well. So, Professor Ramona, I would like to hear from you if you have any questions to our students, something that you are curious to hear about students from Glasgow, for example.
Thank you, Dr. Basques. First, I would like to mention that I'm just so happy to see Natasha, Katie, Carla, because they represented the diversity of the program and more so this mobility between the regions. Natasha, who was based in the UK, now being at Mona, and also navigating the different setting at Mona, different from Glasgow, and Carla, from the Caribbean going to Glasgow and navigating the, you know, the Glasgow campus and all the novelty that comes with this mobility. And I'm very happy that we have a growing cohort here at the University of the West Indies. For now, the cohort at Mona campus is still small, but hopefully we can you know, welcome more and more students coming here to create also a larger community of reparatory justice students. And I would like to hear from Natasha and her experience on Mona campus. I think, especially when you are a student in reparatory justice, it's important to at least visit the campuses at the University of the West Indies. And I can speak particularly to Mona, which is based on a former plantation, and history is everywhere on the campus. And I think it's so important also visually being here. The experience of being on campus is important for students. So I invite all students to visit us at least, and you know, I'm hoping to meet many of you in person. And also, I have mentioned in the beginning, but the Center for Reparations Research is here, and it's a good opportunity to meet the team there and also their work, which is based on research and advocacy on the transatlantic slave trade. So it's good to have also contact with the center in in person as well. But I think also the virtual communication and engagement works well. So I'm, we have not met in person as yet. I have met in person only Natasha, but I think the program works in a wonderful way, and that is because we have all one goal, right? One purpose. And the idea is to create a cohort of students, graduates that can join the community that advocates for reparatory justice. So I would love to hear from Natasha, from her experience here at Mona, but also maybe a little more from Katie. And I'm very happy to see Katie and Carla, we have met last semester during the course. Also, how it has been for them on the Glasgow campus. I'm very aware that this is also an emotional, it's an intellectual experience as well as an emotional one. So I would be happy to hear from students if they wish to share.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so being of Jamaican descent and being having family lineage in Kingston, what was nice to return back to the UWE Mona campus was that my family lineage is like a stone throws away from the actual campus. So coming back home and being able to walk on the UWE Mona's campus grounds, firstly, it's breathtaking. And I think understanding how the architecture of how the university was built from a perspective in terms of the visuals of even how the plants were placed. And I say that because I took an option module with Dr. Scott, who is a lecturer at the University of Cave Hill. And my optional course was in landscapes of the Caribbean, where we learned a lot about how the transatlantic slave trade and the visual representation of Britain and their botanical gardens influenced and had an impact on the design that was created here in Jamaica during slavery to kind of distort the utopia and dystopia of what was taking place at the time. So when you actually get to walk on the campus and you can see from a cultural heritage perspective, there are a lot of artifacts that have been gracefully remained and retained today that when you walk past, when you stop and look, despite the campus being phenomenally breathtaking and beautiful, the reminder that you're walking on the ground of where a lot of the psychological trauma that you read throughout the course has taken place, for me, ignites the advocacy to continue to ensure that our ancestors and all of the global movement that is taking place that's gone ahead of us is respected in a way with the learnings that we take from today are implemented into decisions for the future. So I would say being on campus and having access to a wide variety of departments, thanks to Dr. Biholar, who has ensured that whether it be support on the law side, support for my thesis, trade, or IP or culture, access to any department that you need to ensure that your work is fulfilled, and that the support you need is given, I think if anything reinforces the ethos of the campus and the benefits of the cultural diversity that's there and the willingness for everybody to support you. Because when you are on campus and you speak to other students and they're like, oh, what course are you studying? And you say reparatory justice. And when you kind of give an insight into what is actually happening outside of what they may already know or have an awareness on, it gives a, I wouldn't say satisfactory feeling, but I think being on campus with other students that know why and what the campus means, and then hearing about the work that we're doing, I think it brings almost a justified sense of something's continuing to be done. on the ground academically to support how we take the movement forward. So I hope that's answered your question. But yeah, the UE campus, the Mona campus is beautiful, but it's also a reminder that the history and the beauty is also a reflection of the resilience that we see today.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you very much, Natasha. Excellent response. Thanks for sharing. Carla?
The Glasgow campus is beautiful. I mean,
Exactly, yes.
you know, it's absolutely beautiful. Coming to school here, I don't regret it. I navigated the weather so that, you know, coming from the Caribbean, I just dressed, and that's what I would advise anyone who chooses Glasgow as their place to study. A big change from the Caribbean, but you just dress properly, and you will survive. Katie and I have gotten quite close, and so we we meet up at the library quite a few times. We've gone for coffee or chocolate. I'm a chocoholic. You know, we've gone just this past Saturday. We attended a dance performance at the tramway. So there's a lot happening. It's very cultural. I've been to the ballet. I've been to museums. I've been to craft shows. So besides just studying, I'm doing quite a lot. You know, I think I have found my community. I've got a church community here. Even at school, I'm part of an association there, the Glasgow University Catholic Association. And they too are very welcoming. We have scriptorium. I don't get to go a lot because I don't live close to school. So I go to the gym and do swimming. I've done swimming at the gym. So besides the academics, I think I have found a wonderful place to live and to be. And I love the support that I've gotten while here. So yes.
Thank you very much, Carla. As Carla, I also come from a tropical country, that is Brazil. So I can also say, testify that the weather, it's not extreme. So I think Scottish people and British people in general, they have this hobby of just complain, you know, to be able to complain about the weather most of the time. It's just a national hobby. But it's not that bad, you know, it's just a mild weather in comparison to other places, you know. Before joining the University of Glasgow, I was living in Western Massachusetts in the USA. And in this place, you can get minus 35, minus 40. And here, you know, you just get a mild winter and that's it. And it's not that rainy as well. So I am talking about this as a Brazilian, you know. So in Brazil, we have a city that is known as the city of rain, and the city is São Paulo. So it's just like rain, as it is in São Paulo. So you will be fine, you know, and
Yes,
welcome.
I agree. I agree, Dr. Basques, because I come from Dominica where it rains every day. And I felt the atmosphere here in Glasgow was very similar to Dominica. You know, when the rain fell, just the cleanliness of the air, I loved it. So I embraced it and I didn't mind the rain at all, I must say.
So if you are watching this, please make sure to remember this part, you know, the weather here is just mild.
Yes.
Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid.
I would also like to say and advocate, if as much as the mild weather in the UK is something you're used to, if you need a change, UB Mona campus provides a consistency of sun, warmth, but also the ability to absorb all of the natural goodness of Jamaica. So there's benefits to both sides.
That's the beauty of our program, you see?
Yeah.
So now let's hear from Katie about your experiences and the campus life in Glasgow, please.
I feel like I'll just be echoing what Carla has said so far, but I think the sense of community is definitely something felt both within the classroom and out with. So we've got a group chat as a cohort as well that we use, and even speaking to people on campus, it's great to have that sense of community, and everyone is very open to hearing about our degree, and I feel like having those conversations is it's great, and I feel like no, it's fantastic, and there's been so many opportunities as well to do things out with of classes. So first we've gone to various talks and lectures and everything, and on the Reparations Now course and Dr. Biholar's course, we also had guest lecturers, which I feel like it's really great to have these current, in the moment opinions and inputs from people throughout the reparations movement, rather than just solely focusing on academics all the time. It's great to be like tapping into the current movement and learning from experts in real time. So I feel like it's been fantastic opportunities to meet people there.
I also
Great,
I
thank
just
you.
add?
Yes.
I was sharing with Dr. Basques. We also have the opportunity of getting jobs not only at Glasgow but at UE, because when I look at my UE emails, there's so many opportunities for part-time work. So I was fortunate. I've applied for a number of different jobs while I've been here, but I was very fortunate to be part of the Giving for Glasgow team, where we were raising funds for hardship, the hardship fund, the chancellor's fund, the medical fund. And it was a group of about 50 of us who, participated, who were employed by the university. And for 6 weeks, we were calling up alumni of the university. And, the giving was awesome. So at the end of the day, £334,000 was raised. And, we, the students, speaking to past alumni. And one day I will be a part of that. And I've already said that I would welcome that call from Glasgow. So, it was a wonderful fundraising effort, and I was happy to be a part of it.
Thank you very much for sharing, Carla. And I can give our audience another perspective about what you just described, because of your work, the work of done by students, not only here but also at the UE, I was able to secure a grant from the Chancellor's Fund to do research about enslavement of Black Brazilians by Scottish people in the 18th and 19th century. So this project is titled Untold Lives, Black Enslaved People and the Scottish Trade in Brazil. And one of the main things that I'm trying to do in this project, that is sponsored by the Chancellor's Fund that you just mentioned, is to uncover the life stories of enslaved Black people held by Scots in South America, particularly in Brazil, or brought to Scotland during the transatlantic slave trade. So just to give an example, Louis Black, a Black Brazilian teenager, was bought in Rio de Janeiro by Alexander Mackay from Montrose, Scotland, and later transported to Scotland. And Black Louis lived as a, air quote, freedman for over 50 years in Scotland, attending school, marrying, and fathering 5 children. So thank you very much for sharing, Carla, because I think you can see the relationship between the importance of student work and student research as well, and how we are tied and connected, in a teaching community like University of Glasgow or the UE as well. So since we are talking about research, I would like to hear from you about your research topics for your dissertation as well. But also, I would like to hear from Professor Ramona about your current research projects. So let's start with Professor Ramona, and then we can pass the mic.
Thank you, Dr. Basques. So my expertise is in international human rights law and gender justice. So generally, I come from legal expertise in human rights particularly. But with regard to reparatory justice, I'm interested in the connection between the arguments for reparations and what the human rights regulatory framework at the international level can offer to support claims for reparations. So this is where I have focused my research so far, but more so what I'm particularly interested in is making another link between reparatory justice and claims for reparations and a particular right in the international human rights constellation, and that's the right to development, to show how reparations and the right to development, as it's articulated in the UN Declaration on the Right to Development, as well as in the draft convention, have a connection, as this particular composite intriguing right can also be used as a way, as a platform for reparatory justice arguments. It does advocate for or places a focus also on the historical injustices of slavery, colonialism, foreign occupation, apartheid, racism, showing that there is a continuum of human rights violations. So what's happening today is not separate from history. So that way, this particular right also can make a link between the human rights framework we have today and reparatory justice. But of course, this is an exploration, so much more to come. But this is where I place my research focus right now when it comes to reparatory justice.
Many thanks for sharing. Thanks very much. So, Natasha, could you please share with us the kind of things that you are interested in learning more and doing research about for your dissertation?
Yes. So I've had the privilege to ensure that through my optional courses, whether I've audited or I'm taking them, to provide me with a global overview on how to position my research. So in having the ability to audit at UWI Mona, the global perspectives in public procurement, alongside I've just finished my optional course in gender planning and analysis, that's gender development and planning analysis, which focuses on policy planning and ensuring from a gendered perspective, policy doesn't omit the benefit of inclusivity when it comes to gender in implementation. Alongside what we have learned over the past year, has positioned my research and thesis to focus on Jamaica and their cultural and creative industries. So Jamaica is recognized and well regarded as one of the most influential countries in the world, whether it be culture, music, food, tourism. But when it comes to the infrastructure of how we can support economic growth and prosperity through those sectors, and tying in how reparatory justice could support the sustainable long-term development of that, is where my research sits. So for me, how I aim to approach contributing to the movement is looking at the different ways through trade, IP, cultural heritage, and our creative industries. How can we work alongside former colonized governments that are bilateral partners of Jamaica to ensure that, whether it be from the CARICOM Reparatory Justice Program, there is a 10-point plan. And in focusing on, I think for me, I'll be focusing more on the technology transfer side, as well as the cultural heritage side. My focus is how can we ensure that the technological and digital innovation Jamaica requires, alongside what the infrastructure would need to look like to support the reparatory justice that we can retrieve, how all of those contributing factors combined would support the growth of building out our orange economy for the country. So that's where my interest is. And at the moment, I'm currently developing my research and thesis framework around that.
Fascinating. Thank you very much for sharing. Katie?
So my dissertation is kindly supervised by Dr. Basques, and my other supervisor is Dr. Stephen Mullen, who's written extensively about Glasgow's involvement and Scotland's involvement in the transatlantic slave trade and slavery. So what I'm trying to look at is to what extent is modern Scotland culpable for their involvement in transatlantic slavery and what those reparations would be. So I'm going to look at an historical, a legal, and a moral case. So I'm doing an interdisciplinary dissertation. So I'm doing some historical research into Scotland's involvement and ideas of Scotland as a colony, of an English colony. And then I'm also interviewing politicians and academics on both sides of the Atlantic about where they think Scotland sits within the wider British reparations debate, and especially after the case made by Dr. Beckles' book, Britain's Black Debt, and whether an independent Scotland, how that would help or hinder their ability and recognition of reparations and paying that. It's still very early stages, and I hope I explained that in a cohesive way, but that's what I'm focusing on.
Absolutely. Thank you very much for sharing. Carla?
Okay. My dissertation, coming from my background as an advocate and the chair of the St. Kitts Nevis National Reparations Committee, I wanted to really focus quite a bit of my work on St. Kitts and Nevis as these islands, that country is very underrepresented. Generally, the smaller islands of the Caribbean are very underrepresented in terms of the scholarship, the discourse on in history and reparations. So my supervisors, Dr. Biholar and Dr. White, have met with me, and I am at the point where I am refining my question. At this time, I would say I am at the point, I'm looking at the beneficiaries, the descendants of the beneficiaries of slave compensation. So, having spoken to them this week, the question is around to what extent should families, institutions, and corporations like Green King, who I've been working with, who profited from slavery in St. Kitts and Nevis, bear the responsibility of reparations? As to whether I'm going to tweak it further, Dr. Biholar, are you liking where I'm going with it now? So we're going to look at sort of the moral and legal implications, what sort of reparations can be made, what sort of advice in terms of reparations from these descendants of of beneficiaries of slave compensation around that.
Wonderful. Thank you, Carla, for sharing as well.
Yeah.
So since we are talking about dissertation, and just to give some important information about this to our audience. So at the end of the course, and by that I mean during the summer, students are able to work on a research project focused on a topic of their choice. So as you can see, it is pretty open and flexible. And the diversity that we have inside of our classrooms in terms of our student body is already reflected in the kind of topics that they are interested in doing research about. So you can choose a supervisor from the UE and the Glasgow University. So you can have two supervisors from both institutions. And this dissertation is due to the end of August. So you have enough time after completing all the core courses and optional courses to focus on your research project as well. Ramona, you want to share something?
Thank you. I just want to say is that I'm very happy to see the diversity of interests in our students and the way that they are taking in the knowledge that has been imparted and the discussions during the different courses to put all in this research that they are developing at the end of the program. And so as you can see, you'll have different interests and students are coming from different backgrounds as well. So it shows the wealth of that the research can bring into our knowledge. And so there is so much opportunity for greater research. So that's what I wanted to share. And it's really a call for those out there to think about the possibilities that this program offers, not through the taught courses only, but of course you're going to be exposed to assignments and research. But then you can put all of that knowledge and interest in your own research, and you can create your own niche and perhaps take it further to a PhD study. Or, for instance, Carla, who is coming from practice, can take some very practical recommendations back to the work of the commission in St. Kitts and Nevis, maybe recommendations for other reparation commissions in the region. And definitely the research will give you that expertise that is absolutely necessary if you wish to continue to work in the reparatory justice field.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Ramona. And also in terms of the application process, I would like to hear from our students if they have any advice or suggestion, recommendation, a heads up. If you want to share something about the application process, something that you think that could be helpful for our to our audience, sorry, in terms of how to apply, how to prepare your application materials. And before passing the mic to you, I just want to stress and highlight the deadlines. So applicants from the EU, the European Union, and international students, the deadline is July 25. And for applicants from the UK, the deadline is August 22. So again, for applicants from the EU and international students, the deadline is July 25. And for applicants from the UK, the deadline is August 22. And I highly recommend and encourage you to consider applying for this program for all of the reasons that we just discussed here, but also because we have lots of options in terms of funding. So we have around 20 different sources of funding available, which offer a 50% waiver. So if you want to know and learn more about funding sources available for this program, just visit our website, please, and you will find all information that is necessary and available for you to know more about it. But I would like to know and hear from you as students if you have any advice in terms of the application process as well. So let's start with Natasha, please.
Okay. What I would say is, for me, my experience, the application process was quite straightforward and also very encouraging. I was considering a number of different masters. I had reached out to Dr. White about reparatory justice, and she then put me in touch with Dr. Biholar, Dr. Inniss, and they took the time out of their busy schedules, and I think there may have been a few other of the committee or the co-convener chair, I'm not sure, Dr. Biholar, that I also spoke to, who wanted to ensure for me that in terms of the program, it would allow me to fulfill some of the interests that I shared with the lecturers, as well as my move. So I would say in terms of the application process, my tips would be, there are 3 campuses you can study from. So it's important for you to understand, if you are considering a campus, does the work or is the move going to support your interests? So for me, returning home was to support my ongoing interest for communications and national development in Jamaica. And I think strategically, it's important to understand for the application process where you are required to be on a particular campus, whether it's Cave Hill, whether it's Glasgow, whether it's Mona. Once you have applied, the access that you have to all universities in terms of resources, administration support, lecturers will all be the same. But I think one of the good things that I had the ability to do was I was given the support and time I needed to transition from the UK to Jamaica. And I was given the support that was required and needed to get settled to kind of continue with my studies. So while the application process may seem, I think it's quite straightforward, but I guess depending on what you're thinking in terms of location and how it supports your passions, your interests, and your end goals, the location also will play a big factor in you being able to contribute or add or learn from the campus that you're on as well. So I would say those would be my tips. Just be strategic about where you want to go and why. How does it support your end goals, your objectives, and your thesis goals? And as you've heard today from my other colleagues, the experience culturally is great. So wherever you end up going, having that ability and flexibility to adjust, to also be able to feel included and belong, will definitely set you up for success.
Wonderful, Natasha. Thank you again for sharing. Carla and Katie, you have any advice or recommendations to share? Carla?
Well, I would like to encourage anyone who is in the reparatory justice movement, do not be afraid to apply, be yourself. The program allows for advocates to be involved in the program. I think one of the things that was mentioned, you don't have to have, you can have up to an associate's degree and you can enter the program, so you don't have to be afraid. Just be yourself, be honest, and apply. And yeah.
Thank you, Carla. Yes. Katie?
I would just say make sure that you're not afraid to show your passion and your interest in your application and interview, because it's easy enough to say this is the movement so far and I want to be a part of it. But if you just say truly like what you want to get out of it and what you'd like to do with it, I think the enthusiasm will really come across. So don't be afraid to be too enthusiastic. I feel like it's great.
Wonderful. Ramona, you want to add something?
Yes, and if I may add, just to what Katie, Carla, and Natasha mentioned, if you have any questions, as Natasha mentioned from her experience, don't hesitate to reach out to us, to Dr. Basques, to myself, to Dr. Inniss at Cave Hill. We're willing to meet with you if you wish, as a team, one-on-one, to give you more background and insights from the program to help you make a decision.
Absolutely. So again, echoing what Professor Ramona just mentioned, we will be happy to schedule a meeting with you. So if you have any questions or concern, just let us know. Send us an email. You can find our emails and we can ask our friends from the University of Glasgow to insert our contact in this video description as well, to make sure that you will be able to reach out to us. But you can also find our contact details as well in the website of our program. So in the web page of our website, sorry. So don't hesitate to get in touch, please, okay? So I would like to thank you everyone for joining us. Thank you for watching this live Q&A session. I would like to thank you, Professor Ramona. And a special thanks to our students, Katie, Carla, and Natasha. It was wonderful to have you here with us.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for making the time to be with us today. And many thanks to Sia and our colleagues who organized this live Q&A. And thank you all for watching the Q&A as well. So Feel welcomed and encouraged to apply. And if you need anything, just let us know.